Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast. And welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Have you ever had any creepy experiences in the woods? Share here, I can't get enough of this stuff. 2006. Camping in Pennsylvania with scouts. One kid brought some airsoft guns. We head into the woods to play. Apparently the site is next to an older camp that's been abandoned. Decide it would be a better map and play there. Game goes on for a while. It starts getting dark. Turns a corner just in time to see one kid go into one of the cabins. Gonna go get that camping noob. Go into the cabin. It's dark, but I can still see decently well. Walls are rotting and look like they probably weren't of great quality to begin with. Plenty of cracks to let what's left of the sunlight in. It's a long room with a concrete floor, open door to a small room at the back. He must be in there. Slowly creep up and ready my pistol. As I walk across the room, there's a growing sense of unease. Realize I can't hear anyone else. No shots, talking, nothing. Instead of backing out, I keep heading for the back room. Figure I'll feel better when I catch up with my enemy. Ready up and jump into the tiny back room. No one. Room is very small. Nowhere to hide and no way to exit. Just tiny holes in the tiled walls where sinks would have been mounted, and the door is the only light sources. Turn and sprint out of the cabin. No one else is in the camp now, but I hear voices shouting in the woods. Run through the woods in the direction of the voices, until I find some of the scouts. Among them, the kid I thought I had followed into the cabin, who were in the process of capturing one of my teammates. Kid I was looking for tells me we've been called back to camp. When I ask him, he says he wasn't in that cabin near the end of the game.
First time solo camping, entry-level national park. Pick related, not exact area but similar features. Find a spot on the edge of the map far from any campgrounds. Drive a couple miles off a side road, park and hike out another 15 minutes. Not far but enough for total solitude. Camp is set, surrounded by trees. Enjoy the evening. No booze or anything. Only brought water and juice for an overnight because LOL nature cleanse. Kinda bored. Decide to call it a night early. Toss and turn for a couple hours, eventually start drifting into very light sleep. Suddenly wake from half sleep, hear something walking around in the twigs and leaves maybe 30 to 40 feet away. Adrenaline cools down as I remember I'm in the woods. Want to peek but decide to leave it be. Drift back to sleep listening to the sounds of nature. Wake again an unknown time later, footsteps much closer now, maybe 10 feet from the tent. No wolves or bears in the region, but shit, I should have at least brought a weapon. Listening very closely as it slowly paces around, must be 20 minutes before I inevitably doze off again. Suddenly awake again. Oh shit, it's right next to the tent. It slowly and deliberately pushes into the tent, down until it's touching my head. Literally paralyzed by fear, cannot scream, cannot think. Did not prepare for this. I feel like I'm blacking out, my whole body is vibrating. Whoosh! Suddenly everything is over, lay there a few moments longer until I realize I hear and feel nothing. Finally get the nerve to sit up and peek outside, fucking nothing, completely shook. But it must be 2 a.m. now and I'm exhausted. Nothing to do but sleep. Make it through the night, wake up, and have a beautiful morning before I pack up and leave. Probably just sleep paralysis in an unfamiliar setting. I've had it before, and the full body vibrating buzzing sensation was very similar. Fantastic experience otherwise, it's been years, but I still want to do it again, despite all the Innawoods stories I've read since then.
Something has been harassing me at my lake lot and I can't figure out what it is. The first night I stayed up there, I slept in my car, and 2 objects were thrown at the hood of my car at exactly 5:10 a.m. when I was trying to fall back asleep. I get out of my car and see a bone and a stick in front of my car. I went back to sleep with no other incidents. I thought it had to be my neighbors, but that doesn't make sense to me. The next time I am staying at the lake lot with a friend in his tent, and when we go to bed we lay down for not even 10 minutes, and we begin hearing something hitting our tent like pine cones, and my friend turns on his car headlights because his car was facing our tent. The lights come on, and the sounds stop. It gets dark again, and another 15 minutes go by, and we start hearing something like a branch being dragged across the back of the tent. He hits his headlights again, and the sound doesn't stop. We just kinda ignore it, and it stops shortly after. It was windy that first night, so we kinda just assume it's wind blowing stuff onto our tent. The next time we stay up there again, and the final time with this friend. We went into the tent and got drunk, so we passed out quickly so we didn't notice anything. Except that morning I wake up around 4 a.m. and my friend is asleep, and what do I hear outside the tent? I legit hear this growling that I have never heard before in my life. I have grown up at this lake lot and I have never heard of an animal like this in my life. It almost sounded like it would rev up its growling, and it sounded extremely vicious. This creature also sounded small but not super small. It sounded kinda like what a gremlin would sound like. I oddly had zero fear though, and I said fuck you, cause it would not shut up. Right after I say this, it growls again almost in response. Then I say fuck you, this is my home. And that's when the growling stopped. My friend wakes up shortly after this and says hey, and literally was oblivious to what was going on outside our tent. He didn't hear anything because he was asleep. So I stayed up there alone this time because my parents kicked me out of my house for lacking a full-time job, and I didn't want to sleep in my car in a parking lot again. So I set up this tent in the dark, which was a huge struggle by the way. I eventually set up the tent and made my bed, and I had a fire. I eventually lay down in the tent to go to sleep. Literally barely 5 minutes pass and a pine cone hits the back of my tent. I was honestly furious. I immediately get out of the tent and look around and find a little pine cone and a piece of bark near my tent that I don't think was there before. I grab my blankets and throw them in my car and head back to town because I am not dealing with that. So I try to sleep up there again, and this time I go to bed early around 9:30 p.m. So it's still kinda light out because I figured this only occurs when it's really dark out. So I manage to get some sleep, but then I suddenly awaken at 1:13 a.m. and I am laying there. I try to fall back asleep, but then I hear something moving outside my tent. Not too far away at all. I wasn't gonna wait until it threw something at my tent again, so I immediately just grabbed my blankets and threw them in my car and headed to town. So knowing something is harassing me, I go up there again. This time I don't have a lighter though to start my fire, so I'm pissed off. I showed up late too, so it was already dark, and I couldn't start a fire, so I know I'm in for a bad night. I get a little crazy and start grabbing stumps and placing them around my tent. I grab the dock sections and prop them up against these logs, thinking, maybe this can be some kind of barrier. I get 3 walls put up. I then start grabbing sticks, lots of sticks, thinking it can be an alarm if something gets too close and I will hear the sticks break. So it has gotten very dark at this point. It was a cloudy sky, so it was a very dark night. I'm placing these sticks everywhere, and then I remember that the pine cones and the branch brushing against my friend's tent all occurred from the back of the tent, facing the lake and the weeds. I begin putting sticks all over the shore in front of the weeds, and I even move branches and stuff so the little game trails can be blocked off. That way I can hear anything trying to sneak through there. Well, after all that, I'm walking near the edge of the lawn near the weeds, and I hear something frantically move away from the shore into the weeds, and it sounded large like a human. I ran to my car and grabbed my phone for a better flashlight, because this whole time I had been using a garden light that was in the lawn. I grabbed the phone and my shotgun and some shells. I then bushwhacked through the brush and loaded my shotgun and basically yelled at whoever this is, threatening them, etc. Where this person was hiding near the shore was the thickest part of the shore, lots of branches. I stand there threatening whoever it is, and I get no response, and I hear nothing. No movement or breathing or anything. I just stare at the weeds and I can't see anything in there. I head over to the dock and flash my light through the weeds, still threatening it because I was so mad. And I can't see anything, and I don't hear anything. I was going so crazy I thought it was a military dude or something hiding in the weeds, but I just don't know. That doesn't make sense, but none of this does. So fed up and mad, I dismantled my walls. I put the dock sections back and I put my shotgun in my car and I started to leave. Before I got into my car, I felt like I kinda heard something in the water in the distance move a bit, but it wasn't very loud at all, and I don't know if I really heard anything. But I didn't wait around to listen, I just got in my car and went back to town. I haven't been back.
I don't know if there's anything paranormal about this, but when I was staying with my grandparents in 2011, this is in Poland, me and a childhood friend from that area, given we were both in our teens and feeling brave, decided to explore the woods in the area in the evening, no less, when everything turns blue and dark and cold, very spooky. But it wasn't aimless truth or dare shits and giggles. In those woods is a relatively well-known and mysterious World War II bunker complex called the Fly Trap, I think it translates to. Normally, in order to go see it, you have to pay for a tour. But we were broke, and we knew that you can actually enter the site from the woods and explore some storage bunkers that aren't even sealed off, but very empty. Anyhow, we ended up finding a coin from 42, so that was neat. But other than that, there wasn't really much to see aside from German-made roads and said bunkers, and some sort of big, ran-down concrete building. By the time we reached the main attraction, the Fly Trap itself, we were pretty on edge as we knew we were there without a paid guide. And because it was near pitch black, we only had a couple of flashlights with us and some thick branches in case of boars. And then it happens, as we check out the weird fly trap thing, a man with a deep voice shouted at us in German, "Hande hoch." Naturally, scared out of our minds, we ran out of there as fast we could. Through the cover of night, we were not caught. Obviously, this was probably someone working security screwing with us, but me and my friend thought it might have been some sort of ghost or phantom from the past. I have honestly never been more scared in my life.
B13. I live near 5 acres of woods, which isn't all that much at all. My nephew, only 4 years younger than me, and I Innawoods. We decided to follow a little creek. We walk for what seems to be an hour next to beautiful rocks, water, trees, and cliffs, like something out of Lord of the Rings. Come to the tree line, open field full of wildflowers. Clearly we are off the 5 acres, but wow, what a gorgeous place we found. In the middle of this huge open field, down a little hill, is what I can only describe as a mini forest. A circle of trees, maybe the size of a house, in the middle of this field. Nephew and I went to see it. Suddenly a woman is with us, picking flowers. Well, hi there. We back up from her, I smile. She looks mid-50s, wearing a white blouse and capris, like a nice normal woman. But something feels so off. She asks, "Are y'all playing in the treehouse?" Treehouse? Is that not your treehouse in there? Points to trees in the middle of the field. No. You should go see it. It's pretty neat. I'm about to go look like a dumbass, but my nephew is like, "No, we are going home." The woman seems to get mad. Go look. We leave and she starts cursing under her breath, saying stuff like, "Little freaks," and "I bet you love each other, huh?" Essentially run home without talking. My nephew, now 24, doesn't like talking about what he calls the witch.
Wasn't in the woods, but more so in the middle of nowhere. I've posted it here before. So for context, my dad's side of the family has a lot of Native American blood. Yaqui Indian to be exact, found in northern Mexico and Arizona. My great-great-grandmother passed away a long time ago, but will still visit the tribal area to get stuff. 2007. Was still a kid at the time. Brother was in Oregon with my grandma at the time. Grandpa decides to go visit. We tell my mom and dad and he convinces them to let me come. We keep driving and eventually cross the border. After a while we're in the middle of nowhere, not even a gas station for miles. I'm asleep in the back of the van. Boom, boom, boom. I wake to the sound of gunshots right outside of the van. Grandpa climbs into the driver's seat and starts speeding off before he even closes the door. At this point, I'm almost frozen. I look back behind me and see a very faint outline of a humanoid figure illuminated by the taillights. We eventually make it and my grandpa makes me promise to never tell anyone in my family. He never told me who or what it was. He never left the house without that little Raven Arms 25 ACP pistol, and it probably saved our life.
Be me. Live 5 miles from a wildlife refuge. Ride my bike to said refuge every day. It's raining this time. No biggie. Get to the refuge and do the usual. Hike, bike down every trail. Notice the wind is getting stronger. Not bothered. Continue frolicking. The wind is howling now. Stop and watch the trees. They're swaying so much it's unbelievable. Makes me worry. .jpg. I'm almost done with my circuit. No sense in stopping now. On my way to a public boat landing. On this road there's marsh on one side and woods on the other. Then I see it. There is a trail through the woods that I've never seen. I've been here 1,000,000 times and have never noticed it. It opens onto the roadside like an ominous maw. At this point the wind is deafening. It's raining so hard that I can't see down the road. Stash the bike and go Innawoods, round the first bend. The howling wind sounds distant. Very little of the rain is filtering through the branches overhead. Round the next bend, find the remains of an old house. It had collapsed a long time ago. The wooden parts had long since rotted away. The only thing left was the twisted, crumbling brick foundation and the toppled chimney. I walk around these ruins instead of through them. The wind is still howling beyond the trees, but it stopped raining apparently. Press on, round another bend. Snap. Something very large and very fast bolts through the trees and out of view. Oh shit. .jpg. But there's another one, bounding away from me. I notice the tail and the shape. It's a deer. A third deer takes off in my direction. It's a baby deer. The little guy scattered like his mom and dad without knowing what he was fleeing from. He sees me. He skitters to a halt and changes direction. No more deers. Neat. Press on some more. Before rounding the next bend. Snap. Here's some more movement. It was definitely growling, and it was definitely coming from around the next bend. Hey, wait, what happened to the wind? More growling. Feel my hair stand up on end. The rush of fear hits my stomach. Slowly and quietly, I picked up a big stick. The fuck are you going to do with a big stick? Good point. Pick up another stick. I now have 2 sticks. This plan is foolproof. I start walking backwards. Slowly. Eventually get back to my bike. Leave the refuge. The wind is stronger than ever now. The rain is back. It's raining so hard that I can only see a few feet in front of me. Several trees were laying across the road on my way back. The wind is blowing against me. It's strong enough that I can't pedal forward. I see headlights. My dad had loaded my brother into the SUV and came looking for me. Apparently, I left the house when the storm was just a storm. It developed into a high-level hurricane while I was in the refuge. Get home and dry off without further incident. Whenever I go in a woods, I'm extra vigilant. Go back to that spot days later. The trail is gone. It's just fucking gone. Even as an adult, I go back from time to time and look for that trail. It's always gone. That's my story, bros.
14. At summer camp. We're at a private campground by a lake. Dusk. The boat pulls up by our dock. Was too far away, but a guy got out of the boat, and even from the distance I was 300 to 400 feet. He looked strange. One of the counselors walks up to him. Doesn't even get halfway to the end of the dock before turning around and running. Talks to other counselors. We all get told to get into our vans immediately and go. Don't even bother getting your stuff. We pile in and take off. Stop off at the town store. Cops show up. The cops escorted us back to the campground. Wildlife rangers are there. They're talking with the counselors. Get told we're to rearrange all our tents in a circle around the fire. 2 ranger trucks are camped by our tents with armed rangers patrolling. The counselors also patrol during the night. In the morning, we eat, pack up, and leave. Counselors never explained what happened. Some of the kids said some of their clothes were missing, but none of their valuables. Weird as shit, as...
Here's something that happened to me a couple of years ago, and it's probably the scariest in this thread, because it's actually real. Be biology student, be Mexican. Doing field research in a forested area around some mountains by myself, setting up some cameras and taking samples, all going smoothly. The woods are nice and warm. Hear voices. They get closer. Sounds like a group of around 5 people. I see them in a small clearing about 30 meters away from me. I'll go say hi, maybe they're lost or something. Hold up.jpg. Why are they all holding assault rifles and why are they carrying some dude who could not really get up? Oh, fug.exe. Hide under some bushes, could still sort of see the group of people. They began laughing and hitting the dude and asking him shit I couldn't make out. Try to stay calm, take out my phone and think about calling the cops. Are you special ed.rar? Decide to turn off the phone instead and stay as still as possible. After I finish fumbling with my phone, I slowly look in the direction of the armed people. One of them had a machete. Heart was going to explode, my whole body trembling with fear. Machete guy begins hacking at the victim. The agony screams, I can still remember them. Decided to close my eyes and wait for silence. The armed men seem to disappear all of a sudden. After like a half hour, everything seems quiet. Look into clearing, they simply left the pieces of some man laying around. Too scared to move still. Sun is going down, got a man up. Fuck it, ran for like an hour straight to the place I left my car. Left a bunch of equipment in those mountains, never returned.
Shit's fucked. Anon. My dad does some work out in New Mexico sometimes, near White Sands. He likes hiking around the desert in his off time. Here's his story. Go hiking of a trail he's been to several times before. Pulls up on the trailhead. This is a desert trail, mind you. So the trailhead is more like a parking lot next to the desert and the road. There's a couple of guys and a girl next to a few pickups. They all have guns. Guys have ARs and shotguns. The woman has a revolver, just shooting off into the desert. Dad likes guns, so talks to them for a minute before heading out to the trail. Halfway back, he sees a white something draped over a boulder off the trail, climbs over rocks and scree to get to it. It's a white, plain t-shirt. It has a multitude of holes in the chest and arms, covered in splashes of blood, and I mean riddled with holes. A dozen or so rifle holes across the upper chest and side. 2 shotgun-shaped holes, torn in the front, chest, and stomach. Dried blood, not fresh. Dad thinks about calling the police but decides against it at the time. Spotty desert service. Worried the gang at the trailhead might have done it and may try to silence him. Hikes back to his car. Luckily, Goon Squad had fucked off. After he got back to town, he called the cops, and they basically told him to not worry about it. Between cartels, gangs, and the Border Patrol, there are hundreds of bodies and remains in the desert that are never recovered.
Friend and I are exploring woods. Get lost. We wander for what felt like an eternity. My friend remains calm, but I start to think I'm in serious trouble in these woods. I finally feel a sense of relief as we stumble on a cabin-looking house. See a man and woman in front of the building. Woman is on the porch in a rocking chair knitting. Man is in front of her chopping wood on a stump. I am so overjoyed to see an adult I quickly approach. Man lowers his axe. Holding back tears, I explain that my friend and I are lost. Man smiles. The woman, who is still sitting in the chair watching, begins to laugh. Still struggling not to burst into tears, I look back at my friend. While I was walking towards the house, my friend unknowingly stayed back near the tree line. I look at the man and begin to repeat the predicament. Man lets out a deafening howl of laughter. This only causes the woman's laughter to grow louder as well. I begin to slowly walk backwards towards my friend, and eventually turn and sprint back into the woods. My friend follows suit, and we run through back deeper into the woods. We run for as long as we can, but have to slow down to avoid hurting ourselves on fallen branches. Eventually, make it to a recognizable landmark and are able to get back to where we entered the woods. I can still hear the laughter of those two in my head years later.
Sure, I used to camp with Boy Scouts everywhere in the country. Set up camp a few steps close to a big, beautiful lagoon. Scouts do guard shifts every 2 hours. Get a 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. guard turn with other dude. Dude won't get up, so I just do it. Also, it gives me time to smoke a little. Doing rounds around, checking no animals come close to eating the trash. Around 3 a.m. I hear shouting really close, like really close around. I figure a kid fell or got lost going to pee. Check around giving several laps to the area, but I can't see anything. I was a seasoned camper, so I don't get startled very easily. really familiar with woods and vegetation by that point, so I enjoyed the peace. There is almost a full moon, so I can clearly see around, so it's odd not seeing anyone if they are outside. Shouting comes and goes for around 20 minutes. Start walking to a clearing, because I think the source comes from there. As I get closer, the shouting feels more distant, but I can discern it's from a female. Oh shit, .gif, someone might be getting Chris-channed. I pick up the pace, but the faster I go, it gets farther from the shouting. I came to a full view in the clearing, and I realize I can't hear a thing now. No bugs, no wind, no rustling of branches, as if the sound switch of the forest is off suddenly. This is a fairly windy area, so it's extremely odd. Suddenly get a deep feeling of dread and anticipation, and hear a small scream from several sides in succession. I nope the hell out, jogging as fast as I could without losing my position. Getting close to the area feels normal and loud again, and the screaming has stopped. Talking to a ranger after hours reporting a maybe missing person, he tells me there are no other visitors since it's low season, and almost no one camps since it's a fairly long trail to get to. He tells me it's a common tale to hear La Llorona in those areas, since there is a body of water nearby. La Llorona, it's usually closer when you hear her from a distance, so I think I might have been closer to some sort of entity. Anyway, I shit bricks for the next 2 nights, but something like that has never happened again.
Age 10. Post-Soviet Russia, 1992. Tomsk Oblast, middle of nowhere. Maybe 2 hours from Tomsk, the city. Family has a small farm. Was once for the glory of Russia, now for the glory of paying taxes. Something chewed through the sheep's fence, and sheep are now wandering the woods and fields. Have to gather them, father tells me. Follow the creek. As long as you see the creek, you can find your way back. Father goes one way, I go the other. Whole family wandering through woods. I see a sheep, call to it. Sheep are stupid, so it does nothing. Sheep runs as I get close. Chase the sheep to a clearing. One by one, every member of my family comes out of the leaves. We were all chasing the same specific sheep. It is the only one with a messed up eyeball from a dog bite. The same sheep all lead us from different places to the same place. We never found that sheep, nor any sheep. The farm was ruined and my family went bankrupt. Such is life in Russia. I apologize for any bad English.
1998. 10-year-old me sleeping in daybed in a cabin. My parents are in another cabin. I'm staying in a cabin with my cousin, 13. Deep Innawoods, the cabin has no power or running water. Just a fireplace and candles. Apparently my cousin and my mom saw some weird animal. I didn't see shit. Comfy sleeping. Huge slap on the wall behind me shakes my bed. Wake up. Cousin's eyes wide open and he's dead still sitting up in bed. Cousin puts out the candle we were using for light. There's a little window and he looks outside. Freaks out and jumps back into his bed. Whatever. Go back to sleep. Wake up and see this gaunt long arm that's hand looks more like a chimpanzee hand slowly move up my bed from under it. Can't move my body. Pucker.zip. The hand starts choking me. Pulls me under bed. I managed to give out a weak yelp and my cousin helped me out from under the bed. He's freaking out and so am I. Too scared to go to parents' cabin. We stayed up for the rest of the night. Asked him later what he saw. Said he saw a wolf stand up on 2 legs and smile at him. Asked him if it looked like a werewolf. He said it just looked like a regular wolf that suddenly started to move like a cartoon and was very expressive. Would have passed it off as a waking dream if not for the fact he said he saw a hand pull me under the bed and whatever skinwalker wolf thing he saw outside.
Whatever, go back to sleep. Pisses me the heck off when people say this in spooky stories. It's just so unbelievable. Like you've got all this scary shit going on and you decide to just go back to sleep? Like what sort of logic is that? You deserve to get your salad tossed by an under-the-bed squatch monster.
Grad school. We can get 2 classes worth of credits if we do a 2-week volunteer service mission in Costa Rica. Beam me up, Slappy. Going down to help a poor village build some infrastructure. Get there. It's June. Hot and humid. All of my classmates are staying in one big brick hut. We're all given mosquito nets. Told it's very important to set up the net correctly on our beds. It goes under our mattress and hooks up above our bed in a teardrop design. And to stay in it after dark. The sun sets. I guess I'll get in the mosquito net, But it can't be that bad, right? All the lights are turned off. Fair amount of mosquitoes, but not that bad. Looks like the walls and ceilings are moving. Take out my cell phone and shine it against the wall. Legs in every nook and cranny of the wall. Small legs, big legs, furry legs. See crab-shaped things on the ceiling. Oh my God, we're surrounded by spiders. Try to stay calm. Suddenly something is right by my face. Takes a second for my eyes to adjust. I don't need the light to realize it's a dinner plate-sized spider on the other side of the mosquito net, like 2 inches from me. Spaz out and hit the net so it knocks it off. Spend the night absolutely terrified. Doesn't get better as the days pass, but you realize the spiders leave you alone. Then one day, the fat guy of the class runs by moving faster than an Olympic sprinter. Yells out, "Spider chasing me." Yeah, right, spiders don't chase people. Notice the leaves are rustling in a straight line towards us. Finally see it. A huge spider is charging at us. Run the fuck away. No wonder they gave us so many credits for just 2 weeks.
2016. Out in the woods near our university, with my friend. Me and her were just walking around having a smoke until we went back to uni again. We go past the small river that basically cuts off the line between campus forest and public forest. The public forest has some random houses here and there every quarter mile or so, and some gravel dirt roads connecting them. It was near the end of a sunset, so it was a beautiful orange and purple sky. Never was too good at finding my way back in the dark, so I said we should turn back. She agreed, but when we turned backwards to go the way we came, there was a guy in full camo nylon-style suit and boots. He had a crossbow as well. I assumed he was a hunter, but the time of day made me think maybe he was practicing. As we were walking back, we got a few feet away from him and said howdy, just to have him just smile, and that's it. Can still remember his lips with blackened spots as if he bit his lip often. As we kept walking back to the river at a faster pace, because, well, he was generally creepy. I turned my head back to see him close by still, almost at the same distance. On campus, you can't have guns or crossbows or anything of that sort, so we assumed he wouldn't follow us any further. Once we got past the river again and were about a quarter mile away from our dorms, I still see him nearby from across the river. It was getting quite dark now, just a tingle of purple left in the sky. He waves at us and shouts, "See you again." We book it back to the dorms and chill out for the night. We never went back over the river again. Probably wasn't that creepy, but it's pretty spooky he followed us.
Me and friends go camping out in Carson National Forest in New Mexico. Keep in mind, it's nowhere near the Mexican border. Set up camp and clearing. Drink, hike, and chill. That night I feel like we're being watched. Then my friends feel it too. Can smell something like rancid BO but can't pinpoint it. Check the area, it's all clear. Probably just our imagination. Go to sleep. Morning. Get woken up by Buddy shaking my tent. Anon, a lot of our stuff is gone. Get out of the tent, like everyone's packs and our food is gone. Notice tracks leading to the tree line. We follow them. They end at a boulder. Check around the boulder to see if the tracks continue. Nothing. Step on top of where the tracks end. Hear wood creaking, huh? Get down and examine the area. It's a wooden door on the ground, about 3 feet by 2 feet. Lift it open. Pitch black tunnel. Okay, that's enough. We pack up what's left and leave. No idea how long the tunnel ran, but it couldn't have been easy to dig. It must have been a multi-person effort over some time.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.